So we're here at NADA 2025. Crazy.
We made it!
Yeah. The snowstorm was a little epic. I think 130 years ago was the snow.
Oh, wow.
So I guess they didn't have the gear.
No.
It's a little dated. Yeah. So obviously, there's lots going on with technology, always.
Yes.
And there's lots going on today, probably more so than a couple of years ago. As you look at sort of the, I guess, marketing technology, or just technology in general, with AI and other things, where do you see, like, what do you hear from dealers? Like, oh, AI is too complicated. AI, I don't understand it. AI is like not the future. It's like the internet. It's a fad.
Yeah.
What do you hear?
Oh my gosh. So we do have our marketing slogan, which we'll get one of those handouts to show you, but you really did nail it. We're actually saying here, DAS is breaking the rules. The rules we're breaking are all the things that are bad industry rules.
Yeah.
Where, exactly what you said, dealers have been, let's say, talked into things they don't need, or sold, something they shouldn't be bought. But that is exactly what they can run into some of those problems, right? So one of the rules we're breaking here is that, CX doesn't really do anything. It doesn't integrate any systems, and now I'm just paying for marketing. Or we were an AI or just dumb bots. Let's compare that. So those are two of the rules. We're like, well, wait a minute, that might be the case with some vendors, but not with us, because we're really determined that if you're going to spend money to test your new results, and we believe we're like Switzerland in the industry.
Right.
We actually are more like middleware. We're connecting a lot of people. There you go.
Okay.
And we're breaking the rules here. So those are actually two of the rules we're breaking here at DAS. Is that we want the system to talk to each other. We don't want dumb bots. We don't, overpay for vendors that don't do anything. One of the other rules we find is sometimes when vendors get bigger and grow, and even us, we're like, oh, we're over 9,600 dealers down. We don't want to lose that innovative spirit. We want to always innovate, bring new technology, and we still want you to know our team. Like we're not just some big company and you can't go on this. So we've really broken all those rules. And the biggest thing that we find is there are multiple ways to leverage CXP, CX, and AI. And we don't always know what our clients and dealers need until we get in there and say they're good as you come. If you've got an example before, someone brought up to me is they've got some cool new AI technology to do some sort of voice analysis and voice. Great. That doesn't mean that that can't actually help us and we can't work together. Like if you're learning something about conversational AI that we should know, that actually we want to talk to each other's systems so we can integrate the learnings into our automated messages that, by the way, we always make personal, that look like they're coming from sleep information, that you can also customize. So it's really a hybrid, and that's even the other announcement we did last month was announcing it's called AI Engage, and we think it's the first hybrid omni-channel messaging in the industry. So what happens with even us in the beginning, we had AI messaging chatbots.
Okay.
And they did a lot more than a typical chatbot, like we would integrate video, and you could ask it which are different vehicles in the chat, and incentives, and a lot of really great data.
Yep. And
then we thought, well, if you really want to talk to the dealership, push button, let's just connect to the dealership. Why do you need a call center, right?
Right.
And then there's other people that really believe in, they want to talk to them. They don't want the bots, let's make us humans. But those humans oftentimes were in some weird call center.
Yeah.
And all they would do is say, what's your name? And you're like, can you just tell me this vehicle stuff? What's your name?
Yeah.
You know why? Because they're in it for the lead.
Yeah.
So then they can say, Ethan, here's this email, here's the cell, I got you the lead.
Yeah.
Check the box. They can now tell the dealer they got ROI. That's not ROI for the consumer. You didn't ask my questions. If I wanted to give you a phone number, I would have called. If I wanted to email you, I would have emailed. I don't want you to be on with email and phone messages. So we've taken all of those elements and made an acquisition of a company called Engage to Sell. It's the only company that real trained automotive agents that will come on with consumers. Very well versed in that dealership. Actually, oftentimes doing a better job than some of the dealership.
Right.
I'm like, well, why don't we blend those? So why don't we give the consumer a choice? Do you want to talk to somebody right in one of our marketers? Do you want to use this cool technology to get your own answers, basically?
Right.
Yeah. Or do you want to talk to somebody in the dealership? And it's all hybrid, and we're tracking everything. We're saving the conversations. And if you want to start on our website and then go to your phone to chat, text, great.
Right.
And we're going to know you're back when you come back. Like, so it's smart like that. So that's how we leverage some of the tools and technology, but just be more flexible and customize the journey that the customer wants, but also that's best for the dealer.
Was that kind of similar to like companies like what Apple does or some cell phone companies where they have that ability to sort of customize on the fly, but also help people 24/7. Is that kind of the idea?
A little bit. So, but I just think ours is just pretty much more dynamic, customized that individual dealer, and it serves up more graphics and images and content on the vehicles.
Okay.
You know, like I know what you're talking about. So, I had an experience recently that wasn't great, but I moved homes and I bought something Bed Bath & Beyond.
Okay.
And they kept shipping my stuff to a different house.
What?
Even though my address was exactly. So I actually tried to call somebody, and I got them run around. It was a call center somewhere. They didn't know anything. I started chatting. The chat people, oh my God, give me a run around. And then finally, I did this weird combination of like I was chatting, but then I was like talking to a live agent, and someone, a real human, got in the chat, and they helped me more than anybody else.
Yeah.
But like it took so much. It was so automated, phone or this chat, that it was frustrating to tell them. Where our system wouldn't do that, right? Like out of the gate, we would try to answer questions, serve information, and even get videos or questions about a car, or serve up a scheduler for an appointment. So we try to be more flexible.
Yeah, it was like when I was what was I doing? Was trying to get help from LinkedIn's team, and there's no people. Like it's all AI. Like good luck.
Yeah.
You know, Godspeed, whatever. Especially if they think you're doing anything nefarious, like automating anything, and you just get all freaked out. And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm not automating. That's all me, man. Like I'm not doing anything.
Right.
It was kind of funny. It was like the LinkedIn police going, you know, you must agree to this term, and then we don't want to talk to you. And it's just kind of funny. But the one that was really interesting, we were just flying Delta, not to beat up Delta.
Oh
but,
yeah, with all the problems.
So you go to the terminal, and out of Atlanta, they fly 1,000 flights a day.
Oh,
it's the largest airport in the U.S.
Yeah.
So you go to the customer service, and they have a person there with a tablet.
Yeah.
And they goes, oh no, I can't talk to you. You've got to scan this QR code, and then you got to go on a digital line, and then once your number's up, then I can talk to you. So, and I'm like, but you're here.
I'm talking to you right now. Yeah.
Like, what? Like what?
Yeah.
And then like the older people are like, well, what? How do I take a picture of the code? Do I enter something?
Yeah.
They have no idea, and they're irritated anyway because they want to talk to someone. But it was funny because in my case, I had multiple canceled flights, so I did this multiple times to the point where I actually knew these people.
Yeah.
I'm like, just help me again. Like you helped me yesterday
already
3 times.
Oh my God.
And it was really, really funny. But the funniest was when I first missed the first flight, I was told I couldn't get on another flight. Their automated system then told me there was nothing where it could fit me. And then I went into check-in on this check-in site. He goes, oh no, the people in customer service at this airport can't do it, but I can do it. I'm like, like, you're not aligned with your other team in the same facility. Like,
right.
I don't understand. It was just funny.
Yeah, no, and you do run into that, especially in other industries.
Yeah.
But just going through that example, oddly, it was me going to the chat with a bot to get an experienced agent that got me the best service. Like, that was the weird thing. I Googled the number. There is a number for Bed Bath & Beyond. I'm like, I think they're closing retail stores.
Yeah.
Serves me right from ordering from them. But so that's why we do take those learnings and we do shop for cars ourselves, or staff.
Yeah.
And like always put our mind as a consumer, right? And that's how we're going to build better technology. So really, our system, when they have the hybrid version, when the dealers with this, you can start anywhere and you go back and forth, and it still saves the content too. That was the other thing. Every time I go back on this website or call somebody, they didn't have any record of my issues. I'm like, you keep shipping my fire pits to other houses.
Someone else got one.
And then, did you have your address wrong? My address is right. It's in your system. It got so bad, I actually got one of those nice guys on the phone to say that some lady called Liz called in and said, you dropped off a fire pit, my friend. Like, you've shipped me 3 fire pits. I've got none of them so far. And half the time, it's just the propane tank cover. But we've got all these pieces of fire pits all around our neighborhood, not even close, sometimes not even our street. I was like telling my husband, like, I wish I had a flyer. If you have anything addressed to us, please tell us. So, but anyway, so we're excited because we, having been in business almost 15 years.
Yeah.
Coming from the dealership side, working with a lot of tech vendors myself and our team, we just look for those gaps. Like, if there's a gap between our systems, we're Switzerland. How do we get in there? Yeah. I was joking earlier, I'm like, our borders are open. Vendors come talk to us. We can help your tech get better. We want to integrate with you. Let's all talk to each other, and just find a way that when the tools talk, everybody wins. The dealer has less headaches. The consumer has better experience. That's what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. I did an interview with a gentleman who's originally from Germany, now lives in Canada, who's a fitness trainer for executives.
Oh,
And I said, here's a market for you. He goes, what's that? I said, automotive dealers.
yeah.
They eat badly, probably smoke and drink too much, and they don't exercise.
Yeah.
And they have money. They're just not, it's not their focus.
Right.
And I was doing an interview earlier today, and deep dive into AI at some company. I'm not sure which one. Anyway, not to beat them up. But it was like 20 minutes on this. Great. You got to simplify it a little bit.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying it isn't cool. Don't get me wrong. But how do you deal with a car dealer who goes, yeah, like, I like it. How can you help me get it done so I don't have to understand?
Right.
How do you deal with it?
Well, we've actually, from day one, having been in the industry a long time, I said our technology should be foolproof. You don't want to make a dealer log in and do anything. If you only talk to them when you're selling them or you get the setup done, great. And it should work without their engagement, truly.
Yeah.
Because we're here to help solve problems, make your life easier, not be another dashboard to log into. So, and how many times we say, guys, we got to simplify this. And it doesn't matter how cool we think the benefits and features are. The dealer just listens.
Yep.
And in clear, simple terms, say how it's going to help them save time, sell more, do something that fixing a problem. This should just start with fixing the problem. So we start with a problem, and don't try to push features and tech just because we think it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I usually go work for Nissan, and they had a legacy system to register warranties. That was like a Unix system with the old blue screens.
Oh, yeah.
And none of the dealers liked it. So they had a guy on staff. His full-time job was to register warranties. Because the dealers were like, yeah, we're not doing this. Update it. We don't care.
We're not doing it.
Yeah, we're not selling it. We're not figuring it out.
Right.
Just call this guy. And his full-time job was just to figure it out for the dealer.
Yeah.
And it was like, and it was funny move forward because we're seeing, OEMs now combine. Nissan and Honda looks like they're together, and I think you'll probably see Toyota buy Super or something like that. So as you see that consolidation, and as you see dealers buy each other, which is happening globally, how does that change sort of that service level when you're servicing one that has 4 rooftops and one that has 100?
Yeah.
How do you see that? Can that dealer has 4 compete with that dealer who has like 50?
Yeah. Absolutely. So we have different ways we approach working with, let's say, a dealer group, which is a couple stores or something. Part of it is just listening and learning what's important to them in the systems they have, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a bigger dealership group and they think they've got it all figured out, usually listening and helping them discover the gaps, because you can't tell them what those gaps are. Sometimes when they're that big too, maybe they aren't listening to the voice of the customer enough either.
Yeah. And
they're all in their reporting land in their corporate offices. So we try to make it very simple and actionable, regardless of the dealership group or dealer size, really, even market size. I'm like, what is important then? Because we're now at a size and scale, we can customize features and alerts, even a mobile app.
Yeah.
They only want to know about bad reviews, or they only want to know about every time their own team doesn't respond to lead, or whatever the case may be. We can customize how we work with them. And that's why G say we're so sweet. Like we want to be the easy vendor, kind of the easy button of the industry. And sometimes we start off working with them really small, like you said, a smaller store or a smaller dealer group. They might have, right now, just one very comfortable thing. We're like, great, let's work with you there. I don't care if it's just a couple $100 a month. We have to prove ourselves, no matter if you're small or the big dealer group, the same way in our minds. One of our core values is alliance win, and we have to think like an owner. So sometimes those smaller groups are more savvy. Because they're scrappy. They might be in a small market. They got to figure it out. Maybe the economy shifts, impact them more. They don't have all this backup and it's shipping cars across the country. They don't have a side business with an auction or whatever's going on.
Yeah.
I love the big dealer groups too, because I work for one. They've got so many ways to make money. Like the F&I products are their food. There's all those things, right? So some of the smaller ones, we're really invested with them. We're like, guys, let's help them out. And we learn from them too. So building their business. And then it just kind of depends. So we're very willing to customize, and that's why we don't have one size fits all. Especially when we have this, dealers are like snowflakes, very appropriate for here. They look alike from a distance, but no two snowflakes are the same. So you have to try to understand. And once you prove yourself, we don't think of ourselves as a vendor, but a partner. we'll partner with you on a small little widget that will help your process. And then we want to be here 10, 12 years, 15 years, 20 years from now. And we've grown with you. And there's so many dealers who are so excited about it. They'll tell you that story. Like, I started off with you, and General Motors said we had to use you for surveys. And then suddenly, like, I can't believe how much you've integrated our business. And I'm like, well, thank you for letting us be your partner and help you. So it's great.
So what about eBay Motors, Amazon Motors, Lucid Motors? I mean, Tesla's got their own set of problems, but what do you think that's really going to push the dealers finally over the curve and say, okay, maybe I need help, or what do you think?
No, that would be a rule I'd say would break me. And I kind of think that, the whole stuff with Hyundai and Amazon. I like the innovation because I think we are one of the most innovative industries, hands down. People may not know that now, but we are. It keeps you on your toes. You're learning. A lot of those big pushes and endeavors that want to like wholesale change some of your business, they're so short-sighted. Doesn't mean you want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, I'm not going to use a lot of like sayings and acronyms here, but analogies. But like, learn from what is working, even if 30, 40, 50% of the car buyers are not buying online. But if it's gone from 2% to 4% and see what is working, how do we take that piece and that new way to do the piece of the car buying process and integrate that into each dealer's own process to give them a little bit of it. So we do talk about being a secret weapon. So we're very open to it, and we actually partner with a lot of those companies on pilot projects or helping them. I'll give you an example of one I can talk about. Amazon OTT.
Okay.
So it's really with Amazon Prime streaming services. They came to us first in the first pilot, and we're still in the program with them to give them relevant content to automate the dealership advertising with the streaming ads. But we can actually send into each zip code the relevant incentives and vehicles that are in stock right now to actually be streamed up.
Okay.
So not just waiting around for an ultimate agency to like somehow cut an ad and send it to Amazon. And that saves time, it's efficient, and it's relevant. If I'm sitting here right now in New Orleans, the ad I would see would be to the zip code and the incentives and what people need. They're probably marketing trucks and SUVs and all-wheel drive this week. But like whatever, we could actually change that on a dime versus Scottsdale, probably not what I need all of the time. Right? Like I don't really need something that's all-wheel drive.
Snowplow?
No. So anyway, but it's just interesting. So we do partner with them. Whether or not the thing blows up or not, we like to watch it. But it is that innovation that I love because it pushes us all forward to like find new ways to use it.
And what do you see as we look at, I guess, interesting stuff going on with dealer groups buying outside of country, dealer groups looking at changing models, dealer groups looking at, how can I be more efficient with advertising, work with less margins?
Yeah.
Like Steve Greenfield said a couple of years ago, used car was like, margins are going to go like this. They're like, oh no, we got it all figured out. People are paying full price again.
Yeah.
Where do you see that?
So what we found, and we've been invited to speak, and we've, worked with Facebook and Milan, and we've gone out there consistently, including Canada, our home country. They are behind us.
Oh, yeah.
So I do think, given the right market, right circumstance, somebody bringing our technology and how we do business here into that market will help move the needle a little bit, but it's very different cultures and different ways. And, there's brokers in Italy that help you get a car. You don't have all this inventory in the car lot. It's very different. So we always feel like when we bring information or tools to other countries, and we do, we're just launching some new tools that we can do now in Canada.
Okay.
But it's almost like we're going back in time a little bit. Sometimes we do that. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is very new for this market, this country. We've had it here for a while.
Yeah.
And then so that, but I mean, I'm not trying to, be condescending. It's just interesting. So we're like, okay, let's reset the clock. This is new for them in this country, right? So, but it's actually fun for us to bring that information, and they seem to really appreciate it. I will tell you, to any Canadian dealers watching, our team loves Canadian dealers because they're so nice and they keep their appointments.
Absolutely.
I always hear that. Give me another Canadian dealer. Our account managers want. So
do you do any work in Brazil or Mexico at all?
A little bit. We're technically in 32 countries. I'm looking at our head of marketing over here to keep me honest. Mostly around the AI messaging. So, and actually we're in other verticals too, not just automotive. We've got healthcare clients and education clients that find a use for it. The big thing that we just launched in Canada is Response Logics, which is the smart automated quoting, where leads come in. You can send each consumer not just an email that integrates with DMS, so it pulls up the name of the next person in a round robin. John Smith is your salesperson. You inquired about this vehicle. We've got this. We set up pre-owned for new vehicles similar in stock.
Right.
Calculate payments.
Yeah.
But it actually opens up their own personalized website that we build in 2 minutes or less. And then we know what they're clicking on, what they're looking at to serve up additional relevance.
Right.
So that's brand new. We've got some new OEMs, some new OEM programs in Canada. We're announcing hopefully in the next month or so.
Stuff?
Can't say what it is. So that's been really
So not Nissan.
well, you'd be surprised. You just don't know. You don't know. You don't
just signed NDAs this morning.
Yeah, you never know.
Or sorry, Nissan Honda, sort of.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, what's interesting when the OEMs are going through some interesting times themselves, that's actually when they do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was a big controversy last year in the Canadian market, also in the U.S. market, but Honda Canada decided they were going to cut dealer margin 50%, not tell them. So there were a little bit of agitated dealers across the country.
That would be a little challenging.
And then in the U.S. they did a little less, but it was the same thing.
Yeah.
And then from what I hear now, part of the justification between the merger is both Nissan and Honda invested a lot in electric.
Yeah.
And they're trying to recoup that.
Right.
Because when you look at Porsche globally, which is Volkswagen, Porsche has had a serious decline in China, so they're now trying to figure out how to navigate. So it's going to be very interesting to see sort of how these global players figure it out. But more importantly, and it's kind of interesting as we look specifically at Canada, the U.S., and Mexico as 3 countries, because you have very integrated supply chains. It'll be interesting to see what happens with tariffs, because that's going to have an impact on all car costs and other costs. So it'll be very interesting to see how that rolls out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or doesn't. I don't know.
Right. Well, and to answer your other part of your question, I did not forget your comment, Steve, my buddy Steve, and margins. A new innovation, which you will see in the announcements we made actually today, is around a new lead performance engagement report. So for the first time, we've actually done not only identity resolution on the consumer, we look at the CRM, we look at TMS, and then the fact that we, through our SDXP, send highly targeted, relevant messages to each type of consumer. We have a full report. Chris is going to be my, I feel like he's going to show it to you while we're chatting.
And we'll have links below in the description if you want to get that.
Perfect. Look. So it's the first time I've ever known that we can not just show lead count and volume where every vendor says, look at me, I sent you all these leads. It's about which ones convert. It's an engagement score. So then we go through who clicks, who turns a lead, who buys, and the waterfall and interesting dynamics. It's not the count, because you would spend a lot with other vendors, or a lot of our leads are organic. We're posting on social, we're helping you rank in your Google profile and search. So you may pay nothing for the leads with that technology, but man, look at the conversion. That means they're actually in market. We're not a third-party lead provider selling it to 12 other dealers. You know, those are really never
do that.
This is no BS, and this is a rule we're breaking. We're in it too. If we were performing, we're not. We can't. It would be disclosed if we were doing that too, but we're not. So it's so interesting to see how that plays out. And one of her quotes in the press release, comedian, she's like, "Oh my gosh, if I were to try to figure this out on my own, it would take, a week." And in a couple of clicks, I know it's performing. Like they've never had this tool. Everyone thinks it's their CRM or TMS. It's not. You have no idea what's engaging. You're just like, oh, I got this many leads from this source. And every vendor's going to say they're amazing. So this is how we're helping them. And actually, I want them to spend this energy. I want that for automation and tools. And then if you're going to spend, click back, you should now know which one's converting. That's where you need to increase to get more of the leads, because you're converting more. That's what everybody wanted. So this is brand new. First time we've unveiled this option.
Yeah, I mean, I did a project years ago with Stellantis for something.
Oh, yeah.
So that was really interesting, because what we did is we advertised and drove leads that we sold to the dealers at whatever our cost was. And we bought them from all the providers.
Yeah.
Then we audited it.
Right.
And what was interesting was
So
not
that
only
was a team of people probably spending how long to do that, and we can do it in a click it.
yeah, but what was really funny about it, specifically in Canada, was in the French-Canadian market.
Oh, yes.
So not only did you have the worst lead quality by far of any other market in the country,
Yeah.
the people doing it had no idea what they were doing.
Oh,
And the thing that was really interesting, to your point about leads, one of the biggest lead providers at the time was selling leads to 4 or 5 different dealerships.
yeah.
And since we were working with Stellantis and we were mandated to basically buy it at a price and sell it at the same price,
Yeah.
there was no margin for us.
Yeah.
We had to be beholden to not only the dealer but the manufacturer.
Right.
One of these lead providers like, oh no, we sell it to everybody. It's like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
No.
Like, whatever. But
No.
what was interesting when I dug into that market, as we also did work with other OEMs, was there was so much inconsistency in what the different companies were doing. Like, process was different, lead quality was different, responsiveness was different, everything was different.
That's a rule we're breaking. There's so much BS out there.
Yeah, oh.
How do you level the playing field and get the truth? And that's what we're trying to do
Yeah.
here. And again, we're up there too. So it's not like we're not showing how we're performing.
Yeah.
But I think some of this is a game changer. And again, if the budgets are smaller, which they should be, their margins are shrinking, it's even more important to spend every dollar in the right place for traffic that will through.
Well, what about dealers who say, hey, I want help on my, I don't know, service retention, parts business, recalls.
You've got that.
Yeah.
That's. You must have read the press release. Thank you for that.
Well,
So our new announcement to around CXP is
okay.
you don't need different vendors for any of that.
Okay, you can do all of it.
We've integrated with our data friends all of the recall information, and even better yet, one of the big points for dealers is out of the parts. This announcement goes out of the parts. Well, we get the parts fee too, so we're going to tell the consumer when the part will be, and actually schedule it in a timely way, and it's all within our CXP. And we're switching them. We're talking to all these vendors, getting all your information. We can feed that in. We can work with your scheduler next time or whatever. Like, so we're switching them to make it work together. So we've got that. We've also got negative equity.
Oh, okay.
We can now pull and help consumers that are maybe like overpaid for the car during COVID, lease expirations, some equity, but like all those different models, and target them the right message, because all those EVs, if people want to move, great deals on them right now, especially on leasing.
Yeah, and to give you a sense of the recall, since I currently drive a Grand Cherokee, there was a recall. The dealer not only, and Stellantis is one of the best at actually doing recalls. I think they're at about 70%. But you go to the dealer, oh no, we don't have the parts.
Right.
You didn't call me either, but the app's telling me I got to do something. Yeah. But what was scarier to me when I looked into the data after having that experience personally was every other OEM has a much lower recall number.
Yeah.
Like, I think the mean average on all the other brands was something like 40%.
Yeah.
So Stellantis is hitting a home run at 70, but even they're missing 30.
Right.
But the other brands, it's like half of them never get it fixed.
Right.
So what does that tell you? That means it's a great opportunity to drive business.
Right.
But more importantly, when they're doing a recall, maybe those other work. I don't know.
Right. Well, there's that, but also sometimes you can have to recall message you're like, it's time for it.
Exactly.
And that's a huge opportunity. So again, because our technology is smart and knows that, we'll serve up those messages. So after you maybe send out a recall notice and see the parts will be in 3 weeks, I don't say, but you know what? You know what vehicle you have. The value is this. Here's alternate vehicles from today. If you, why not?
Get one with the upgrade so you don't have to do that.
Right. Why? And here's a great lease deal. And it's an EV.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So that's what's cool. And we just love helping the consumers with the journey, with the dealers. So we think we're not just CX, we're DX. We're dealer experience too. How to make their life easier. It's kind of an easy button, and we come in and help really all the other vendors hopefully work together.
Do you work with Staples?
We should. We'll find this easy buttons.
That was easy?
Yes, that was easy. We're the easy company. We just make your life better.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you
As
so
always.
much. Thanks for coming by. Thank you, everybody. Have a great show.